Nuri, this is the Global Digest think tank group. Why don't you briefly introduce yourself? Where are you right now and what are you doing? Please, Nuri.
Thank you, John. My company name is Muhibbullah Nouri. I'm originally from Afghanistan. I'm a regional activist advocating for regional cooperation and regional integration in our region since 2021. I established a number of organizations like supporters of regional integration in Afghanistan, part of Asian Nations Integration Movement, and now, of course, the Fajristan Regional Integration Movement is a new nonprofit is established in the United States, based in this area, and we are gathered a number of regional activists from the 10 countries of Fajristan countries, the Fajristan countries, and we are advocating for regional policies and regional integration and regional cooperation in the region.
I see.
I've been working in the government of Afghanistan as Director of Policy at the National Security Council, and later as Head of Reintegration Commission for the High Council for National Reconciliation. Was my last job in the government of Afghanistan, yes.
Right. That time, Ghani government, right?
Yes.
I see. So you was with Ghani government, but now Taliban control the whole region of Africa, you know?
Yes, they are controlling, but this control, how long last, I don't know. You know, it will continue or not. You know, the time make the decision. The condition, the situation will make the decision. Because, you know, most of the people are not satisfied with this ruling group. They are not accepting their rule, and because they are not like a government, you know, like they are like a group, and there is a country without a constitution, without parliament, without a recognized government, without you know, rule and regulation, that each person they has a gun, is ruling by himself, and schools is closed for the girls. The girls are not allowed to go to school, and the women are not allowed to go to work, and the political parties is not allowed to activate their activities is not allowed. And civil societies also is not active. They are not allowed to activate. The media, the free media is you know, closed, and those medias publicizing for them. They are the only media free that they have to publicize their agenda, their policies. You know, there is a complete dictatorship.
Right.
Yeah, it is a mono-ethnic, mono-gender, mono-religious group, and they are not even accepting the members of their ethnic groups. You know, and the other religious group, and gender. There is a gender apartheid in Afghanistan, and so for women, there is a bad situation, and there is no, you know, the rights all rights, including free movement, education, and work, is just it is not just limited. It is banned. It is completely banned. They are not allowed to do anything. It is a very bad situation for women.
Right. I mean, they are definitely they are far away from international human rights standard and norm, and
Yeah.
they are not similar to other democratic country system. Uh, all these are, dark side of Afghan, but so far, Afghan in any place in Africa, there was no conflict, no fighting, no shooting. At least people are, not in conflict zone, or there is no protest by people or no violence. Which means the population has safe at the moment. I mean, without anybody dying, compared to Palestinian or other places. So no people died so far.
In the past, yes, in the past 3 years, there was 1,000 explosion by the ISIS-K, and there was, the TTP organized 100 and 1,000 explosion inside the Pakistani side by support of this Afghan Taliban.
You mean
And there,
after 2022 or before 2023?
no, after since 2022 21, that there is also the resistance attack, the guerrilla attack on many region and areas, and there is a human right violation, by torturing the opposition groups, the members of ethnic group, political parties, the women. In Afghanistan history, there is no any like any government, any regime never been in the was in the government in the history of Afghanistan that like the Taliban that arrested and tortured the women and the member of ethnic group, religious group, and political parties. There is the worst machine of torture in our history, I can say.
I see.
Yeah.
You point out there are a lot of shooting and bombing and dying in Africa Taliban government. So we need accurate information, right? So we need to follow up how violation of human rights and abuse of power by Taliban and killing civilian and ordinary people. So I think I should follow and check, double check information, because I got, if I don't check, I can get misinformation. So
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah. They're the members of the former security forces and the members of government. Most of the members of former government, they got out of the country, they immigrated to another countries. More than, I can say, like more than 5 million population fled to the neighboring countries, and most of them are not able to return because of the situation, because of this that they arrest their any differences are not acceptable for them.
But
So
Pakistan government return all the Afghan refugee to, return back home. Why?
Yes, because there is, the Afghan Taliban are supporting the TTP, Tehrik Taliban of Pakistan. So they are supporting them. They are providing them sanctuaries in Afghanistan. They are providing them and equipping them with arms, and they are misusing the soil of Afghanistan against Pakistan. And the Pakistani government, in reaction to that, they, they deported most of the refugees. That was not a good reaction. The refugees that they left Afghanistan because of the Taliban takeover. Now the Pakistani government is putting pressure on them to return to the country because of this as a reaction to the TTP attack in the soil of Pakistan that is backed by the Afghan Taliban. So it is a worse situation. It is not a good situation for the both countries. There is instability in the region, and there is also 1,000 madrasas, religious madrasas that the Taliban are establishing them. There is no inequality for education. They are not teaching actually the religion nor the other, they don't have a clear curriculum. So they are teaching them to become extremists. The Afghanistan is becoming a platform for the extremist group again. And it is a threat to the security of the region, the Central Asian countries, and all neighboring countries, including Pakistan, that the TTP are carrying, the attacks inside Pakistan, and also there is a group of, from Baloch in both sides of Pakistan and Iran. They are also active after the Taliban takeover. Their activities increased in the region. So there is lots of problem that the Taliban can created already and create more problem for the region.
Those refugees deported from Pakistan, how's their situation? They were arrested or punished by Taliban government. Do you have any feedback?
There is some report that some of the refugees that they have a governmental background or political background, so they have been arrested. They have been tortured. But the most of refugees, they are the poor people that they don't have anything, and this is a crisis. When they return, they need food, they need shelters,
Right.
they need resettlement. But the group is ruling Afghanistan. They don't have that ability and capacity to provide them any support. There is flood in Baghlan and Takhar province also in recent days. So they were not, they could not do anything. For refugees also, they are not able to do anything. So it is not a government to function. It is a group.
Right.
And another areas that is the tax area. The tax, they are taking too much taxes from the very poor people, from the merchant, from the markets, stores. They are collecting the tax by force, not by they are taking taxes and they are taking bribes. There is a corruption recently there is a report released by the Bush Institute, George W. Bush Institute, that the report says that there is a large amount of corruption by the Taliban in their system. So in every area there is the situation is getting worse.
I see.
Yes.
So right now, where is former President Ghani?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like to talk about him. I think he is living in Emirate, Abu Dhabi, or
Not in America.
no, not in America.
I see. So many of his government cabinets and minister officer, they fled away, right, to different countries, right? So, but you are not regrouping again. It's not possible. It may be any strategy.
Some of them regrouped and they announced their political front and military front. There is a large group in Turkey. There is national resistance in Tajikistan. Their center is in Tajikistan. And they are active inside the country, all of them. There is some political front and groups in Europe and also in US and many countries. They are active and they are daily, they have some kind of activities.
Maybe during Ghani government, how many you have soldier, it's over 200,000, 300,000?
350,000, yeah, 350,000 soldiers, yes.
So then all of them gone after Taliban come, where all
yes.
350,000, they left Afghan or they are still inside Afghan?
No, the majority of most of them left the country. Those who remained in the country, they have been arrested, tortured by the Taliban in the past 3 years. Those who they were they were not able to leave the country. They have been arrested and tortured by the Taliban.
So that time Taliban come in, so all these Afghan soldiers, they give up their weapon to Taliban, or where they keep their weapon at the time? They have weapons, right? All the soldiers, they have a good.
Actually, the collapse happened overnight, and it was suddenly happened, and that the president escaped from the country without announcing, and security forces were ready to resist, but when they left themselves alone without a leader to command them and to lead them, so the collapse happened overnight, and everything left behind, and the Taliban took all the arms. That is why that they have armed. They are arming the groups like where the ISIS is taking these arms. They are purchasing from the Taliban. They are taking this from the Taliban. And where the TTP is taking these arms. All the arms is the American arms that was from the have given to the Afghanistan army. Now the Taliban is giving it to the TTP. yeah, they are using these arms.
So, I mean, the point is, when Taliban come in, instead of give up or, escaping this 350,000 stronghold soldier, they can shoot them at the Kabul, Taliban. Even Taliban, they don't have 300,000 or something. They don't have that much
Yeah,
soldier.
yes. Yes. The Taliban didn't take the, by force. The Taliban signed a deal with the US that called the Doha Agreement. Most of the country was relying on the president, on the leadership, political leadership, and was the forces were relying on the foreign forces, also the US and NATO. So the forces, the foreign forces, also left the country without making a plan, a coordination with the security force and with the political leadership. The political leadership, like the Ghani, the president, left the country, escaped the country, and even his national security advisor contacted the Taliban that we want to go, we want to leave. Muhib, Alhamdulillah, Muhib was the national security advisor. He contacted to one of the member of the Taliban, to the Haqqani network, that we are leaving Kabul. Please come and take over the Kabul. So there was a kind of betrayal to the security forces. The security forces was waiting for their allies, their political leadership, to give them a roadmap and give them a plan and order them to do this and do that. When they left them, they found them, without any plan and any leadership.
Right.
And yeah, so they were working together with the foreign forces. They were working with the president. They are security forces. They cannot do anything without their leadership. So
It's
yeah,
technical US and Afghan government hand over Taliban. They have a deal, and the government, you said, those important people, even the guy invited Taliban to come in Kabul, and the president and important people left without coordination, discussion, or plan with the army and all of government, and also not properly coordination between US and Taliban governments. Those many things, that was the situation. However, if Afghanistan people have strong, uh, feeling and strong desire to remain without America or Europe soldier, only Afghan, only organized. Even if president or other people, they want to leave, they let them, and other remaining can organize well with the 300,000 soldier. They can still, I think, it should be able to manage to rule the country. But nobody has strong desire or feeling or to lead the government at the time. It's like that.
see the president escaped from country overnight, and without there was not any time for making any decision. The Taliban was in the door of Kabul, and the president and national security advisor escaped overnight. No one could, when the Taliban entered in Kabul, no one was able to make any decision. If like
How long it
if
take when president left and when Taliban come in? How it is?
the,
How many hours gaps?
just it took I can like 8 hours or 9 hours or less than that, or there was not a big gap, between the time that
After President Ghani left, around 7 8 hours, then Taliban already coming.
yes, yes.
Not much time, and
No,
each
there was not any time. If there was a time to organize the security forces, and there was a capacity, there was a motivation, I think they could resist. Just yesterday, there was a meeting, a summit of NATO Youth Summit that I attended to the meeting. They also was, talking about these issues that how there was not a coordination and communication between the UK, US, and other NATO allies. Even between them, among them, there was not a clear communication and coordination. And their communication also with the government of Afghanistan was not clear. And also the government, the leadership betrayed to the security forces. The leadership, like National Security Advisor, like President, they betrayed. It was a betrayal to the security forces of Afghanistan. So if they knew that they have this precision, they are escaping, they are not going to resist, they had to announce to the people that we are not able to do anything. They could say this, a month ago, that we are not. Just a month ago, the president came to the media and told the people that to the parliament also, to the member of parliament, that I am going to resist. I will not. I never escape. I am not Amanullah Khan, the King Amanullah Khan, that he escaped from the country. I will never escape from the country. I will resist. I will organize the people, the security forces, and we will resist. But when he, without any coordination, he escaped and left the country, because there was not any reason to. He escaped the country. He left the country. He could. There was a negotiation with the Taliban. Our delegation. At that time, I was in the National Reconciliation, the High Council for National Reconciliation. I was working there. There was a delegation under the chairman of High Council for National Reconciliation, just that they were going to the Doha to sign an agreement with the Taliban. The negotiation, was like over, that there was a kind of, the Taliban was agreed over to come through the peace process to return to Kabul. But so because of this, that the president didn't want this, the National Security Advisor didn't want this, so they escaped to and hoovered to the Taliban indirectly. Even they communicated, they coordinated with them. They said that you are going, we're leaving the country, you can come.
So during Doha agreement between America and Taliban, that time it's Trump president or Biden president.
It was during the Trump signed the agreement, but according to that agreement, the Biden administration withdrew the forces from Afghanistan.
It means Trump is the one who signed the agreement with Taliban.
Yes, the Trump was the one side of the agreement. Yes.
Then when the agreement signed, it means the Ghani government should know. It means they are given transferring to Taliban, then he should announce after agreement. Ghani should make clear we will not do any more government. Then he can announce after Trump signed. He did not announce anything.
So he was not agree with the agreement. The Ghani and the government, all the government leadership were not agree with this agreement with the Taliban. It was not communicated and coordinated with the government of Afghanistan. There was just a joint announcement, but the Afghanistan government were not engaged, was not engaged to the the process of that agreement. Even they didn't know the content of that agreement clearly. So
anyway, the thing is, after the signing, it is a signal the US is already give up. The Europe need to give up. So the Ghani government should know that will be their own to manage Afghan. So after Trump signed, they should prepare for their own governing in Afghan. If they think they cannot do governing, then they should announce or they should, transfer properly. But during that time, nobody seriously preparing or they just saying disagree with the agreement signed by Trump and Taliban, but they did not prepare if the U.S. troops are moved or they left Afghan. If they did not agree, they want to remain by Ghani government, they can prepare. He should not run. He should receive. But it seems he also not prepared because he just rely on blame on Trump. That is, I mean, Trump. I mean, the U.S. has made it. Ghani side can blame. They did wrong. They don't make consultation or they don't agree with the contents of the agreement. Ghani can say like that. But the next step is whether he will be remain or he will rule by your own or without America. He should a plan. So it's during that time there was nothing preparation, I guess.
Ghani was not accepting the the peace process, the negotiation.
Right.
He was not he was not accepting that, and he was not agree with the deal just because he should remain in the power.
Then he should prepare for his own fighting.
He should continue
without America, but he did not prepare for that.
He at the beginning he was trying to remain in the power himself, but when he disappointed from the Americans support and US support, and he thought it is better to take a revenge from the political opposition groups that was not in the government, was opposing him in the government. He said, so between the Taliban and opposition groups, it is better to leave the scene for the Taliban. He selected the Taliban. He left the country. He escaped the country to the Taliban overtake take the control of the country, and the opposition groups should not able to continue because there was a pressure by political opposition groups that they were not accepting. Ghani didn't have a root in the society, a social base in the society, and he was imposed in the government. And when he came through the election, but it was not a fair election because of that. His government was very weak, and he had a team of very young and experienced and diaspora that they came from the Western countries. They were not familiar with the society, with the people system, and just they weakened the system, the government, the institutions, and there was a gap between the people and the government. There was a corruption. Ghani, removed and retired most of the experienced and skilled generals and officers and the leadership of security forces, and replaced them with the young and
After Trump signed with Taliban, so Ghani disagreed with the agreement, and he tried to remain, as you said, and he's thinking to remain, but I don't know how much he prepare or how much capacity he has. But the problem within, the I mean the political group, the government, as you said, they are not that strong and not that population support they receive, and they are not much experience in, in terms of the local support, But the opposition has possible they can get support by local people. So there is a way to negotiate between opposition and the Ghani government, how to manage post America after they left Afghan, how they manage, how to share power. They can arrange. If they united opposition and Ghani government, Taliban cannot easily come in, right? So,
yes,
but the thing is, the Ghani government doesn't agree with opposition. They did not make able to unite it with opposition, and a lot of pressuring each other, opposition group and government group. That time, if Ghani think he cannot win and opposition can be win, he can, let the opposition rule, or they can make arrangement. We can let you government or something. But it is not seriously they are thinking, or they are not preparing, I guess. Even they are not thinking Taliban can come in easily, right? Nobody
right,
make about Taliban can come in Kabul. But it's also possible within opposition group or within Ghani government, somebody has connection with Taliban. And if American left, they will be cooperate with Taliban, and they will overthrow Ghani or any government group. It can be, possible. But anyway, that become internal issue. So
right,
they should have a plan, a vision. So somebody has to make arrangement. Then Ghani said, okay, opposition, you lead the government, then we will be uh, just we will keep aside. then they can make arrangement. But I don't know, even small arrangement or within opposition and government are very difficult to negotiate or arrangement. That was not working. Then at that time, American left, Ghani also left without announcement, abruptly each other. Do you think they cannot really negotiate between opposition and Ghani government, or why it was seriously difficult between government and opposition to be unity, to unite? Otherwise, Taliban cannot come, there is no possible, because you have 30,000 soldiers. It's not easy to come to fight them.
Yeah. Ghani was the main challenge in the country. He was his leadership was devastating, for the country. He was not a right person in this crisis situation that country was facing. If any person was in his position, there was a kind of negotiation or peace process. Little bit we could succeed in the peace process. But when Ghani came to the leadership, he was not a normal person. He was not. He himself was a challenge for the government, for the country, and so that is why he led the country toward the crisis, towards very unknown future and clear future that no one knows what will happen to the future of the country, because this came to the power, all the past 2 decades achievement, democratic achievement, human right achievement, and governance and economic development achievement all have been destroyed. There was a good civil society in Afghanistan. There was a good free media in the country. We had one of the best special forces in our military in the country that was trained and equipped well. There was a good governance process. There was a 5 years economic development plan that we had at the strategy at the country level. So all these plans and the strategies and the wish we had for the country destroyed completely.
Right.
Now there is with the Taliban, there is no any hope, for Afghanistan. It is the darkest days of Afghanistan. Taliban cannot act as a normal government, and until the Taliban is there would not be possible normal relation with the neighboring countries and with the international community. Just the group is acting and showing themselves that we are like a government, but they are not. So a government has many measurements. When there is no constitution, there is no political party, there is no free media, there is no civil society, there is no free private sector, even, when there is no there is no the members of government must be from Mujahideen and who fought for their group. Out of their group, they will not do anything. Even in the group, when they commit some crime, they say, "Oh, it is Mujahideen. It's okay. It is Mujahideen. They did great job for us. So if they kill someone or they enter in a house or they do something wrong, so they say it's okay. He is a Mujahid. He is our members. So they
Maybe
will not.
Taliban
Yeah.
has support by, madrasa or religious leader or religious group in Afghanistan. So the society can be still, controlled by religious group. That
The,
that is possible. Taliban get back support. Taliban
all
backbone is religious group, religious leaders.
the the Taliban is coming from three. Their support is coming from three main background. One is the intelligent support that they are receiving from the intelligence services. They're intelligence group. The second is the tribal areas. They, they are supporting them, but they are limited to the rural areas. The urban areas do not support the Taliban, and even the religious people that they are open-minded, they will not support them. Those religious people, they are against their policies that they close the school, they close, ban the woman to work, and they are against all these policies. They are not accepting them, but they only the religious that they are tribals. They are coming from tribal areas. Those religious people, they're not religious actually. They are the tribalist people. The Taliban, if the Taliban can continue more than 3-5 years, it means there is a miracle for them.
I see.
Because people not,
You can say right now a lot of during Ghani government opposition group are joined with Taliban, or they are, where are they?
no, that all the opposition group, they left the country. They are not inside the country.
They cannot join with Taliban, right?
No,
Taliban did not accept them.
not at all. Not at all. All the international community, the UN, the US, and the regional countries, all the countries, including the political parties in Afghanistan, they want an inclusive government in Afghanistan, a legitimate government in Afghanistan, a peace government in Afghanistan. But the Taliban are not accepting any suggestion from anyone, nor at the national level. They are not accepting from anyone from the regional and the international. That they are doing for they have the connection. They listen only to the intelligence services, and they will listen to the tribal areas only, not to the
What
any
is
other.
intelligence services? Their own soldier, their own agent, Taliban agent. They are doing
Not
intelligence.
not all the Taliban, but their leadership are the selected and recruited by the by the intelligence services, and they are working for them, and they do whatever they say for them. They are not doing what the people of Afghanistan is saying. They are not listening to the people of Afghanistan. They are not hearing from them. They are hearing those intelligence services, and they are not listening or hearing from the urban areas, from educated people. They are actually against the educated people. They are against the modernity. They are against the urban areas. They are against those who work in the formal government. They are against the ethnic groups, the religious group that like Shia, that they are not sharing with them religious, you know. So they want only themselves, their group, and their group, yeah.
Taliban is not that far from terrorist group, They are also a kind of terrorist group,
They are hosting the Al Qaeda.
They are still working with Al Qaeda or IS, or right now they are cooperating.
So they are hosting many terrorist groups inside Afghanistan. They are like Al Qaeda, like ATM of Uzbekistan Islamic movement, and there are many terrorist groups from Central Asian countries that they are hosting in Afghanistan, that they are threatening the Central Asia, that if you are not helping me, cooperating with us, so I will release them against, they are using the TTP against Pakistan. They are using the Jaish al-Adl against Iran. They are
so now
support.
Taliban is hosting a lot of terrorist group in Afghanistan.
Yes,
right?
yes, it's like Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda is they have the family relationship with them. They are hosting them in many provinces of Afghanistan. They are all the terrorist group network that they are from any country of region. They are living in Afghanistan safely. It is a safe haven. It is their government. They are very strong. They are armed.
Okay.
They are basic.
Taliban is still, part of terrorists and working with terrorists. That's sure. But during Ghani government and opposition party, opposition group, it's a kind of you are missing, food fighting between Ghani government and opposition fighting each other, and nobody get the food. All of them, they have to run away from the country. You said Ghani security officer, advisor, he invited Taliban, So it
Yes.
means Ghani government did not want opposition to be in power. So they let the Taliban control. It means they did not, nobody get food. Ghani government or opposition group, they just, left it to the Taliban. So that is the situation, what happened between Ghani government and opposition group. If Americans stay for a little bit more, then Ghani can prepare and government, they can govern Afghan well without all American leaving Afghanistan. If they remain, even some of American soldiers remain, Ghani can be survived at the time.
Yes. Yes, the Ghani could not survive, but the government could survive because all the political party and the political leaders came together and made a great decision that forced Ghani to resign and accept a peace with the Taliban. All the political position, but Ghani, in the final decision, in the final days, that the Taliban should return through the peace process, and there should be, a kind of agreement with the delegation of the government with the Taliban. Ghani so destroyed that decision, because he was thinking that I am resigning. No one is accepting us, not the people of Afghanistan, nor the Taliban. The Taliban is not accepting me. The people, the opposition group also is not accepting me. So it is better to hand over it to the Taliban to, take the revenge from them also. When something is not for me, it is better to, it should not be for the others also. When I'm resigning, stepping down, and I'm not in the, I'm not the president, so it is better to the opposition group also should not be part of this process. They should also escape the country like today.
Nobody has a good vision, right? Ghani government or opposition, they don't have a
I
good
can say
vision.
I can say the government had good staffs, and but the government was I mean
I mean,
the government was
they
not
are
that.
they have qualified,
I,
they have quality. I mean, in terms of
I,
profession,
I say the political position
all
of the groups that
national, sacrifice. Nobody want to sacrifice. If opposition has generosity or vision, if they very have commitment for Afghan democracy, they will say, "Oh, let Ghani continue for some time. We will cooperate instead of Taliban." But opposition also seriously threatened Ghani, right? They were,
there was a problem with
threatened.
that.
And all other side, Ghani can also has, if he has very seriously dedicated for Africa. So
Actually,
this time opposition let them government. I will give them a seat. So opposition or Ghani side or nobody are dedicated, committed, not really sacrifice for Afghan. Both of them, if they don't have power, they will make trouble the country like that.
Right.
So
Right.
that is the atmosphere. It look like that.
Right. Actually, they were not the opposition of government. They were the member of government. Those I say political parties opposing the Ghani or opposing Ghani. They were not the opposing government. They were member of government. They were in the leadership of the government. They were member of like in the different position. They were in cooperation with Ghani. But the problem, I think, was that the Taliban also was not accepting Ghani. The Ghani was, trying to remain in the power. It delayed the peace process. It made the Taliban stronger and disappointed. That the government became weaker. So the leaders and all the people of Afghanistan, they wanted Ghani to like resign and give the floor to the government that by peace process should come in the power, and the Taliban should be part of that. But he didn't accept that. So I say that there was as you mentioned, all the political leaders, they they
Nobody wants
they
to
are
sacrifice.
they are responsible. They, as you mentioned, they were not committed to sacrifice themselves. They were not they, as you mentioned, they didn't have that generosity for the country to sacrifice themselves, their benefit, their interest for the interest of country and the government. So there was a competition between the political parties and political leaders. And also Ghani was not a leader for this situation to lead them to lead
You
the
know,
country to
at the
leaders. Also,
time, Ghani was in power, even before US soldier left. If you said there is opposition within the government, other government members, top leaders, many of them are opposing Ghani. So
yes,
that time Ghani know already, right? There are a lot of opposition within government. So he will think about that. Then if he decided to stay anyway, he want to be here in the power, then he should change all the government stuff at the time. Then if there's a new staff, I mean, who support, he can be remain in the power and he can keep government and he can still continue democracy system and he can still work with the international society. Even though US soldier left, he can change at the time. Why he did not change all these opposition leaders within government? He should change at the time. So if a new leader within government, it will be much easy to manage. Then they can prepare with 30,000 soldiers, even Taliban attack. If they are united within government, they can still prevent Taliban. But Ghani has mistake, I guess. He could not, uh, uh, manage his government, many opposition leadership in the government. We should fire them, and make stronger unity government. It's possible he cannot do stronger government at the time, even before you left.
uh, it was not. I mean, if the the main issue was the key issue was that a peace process with the Taliban at that time. That we have to reconcile with the Taliban. We have to reach to an agreement with the Taliban. The Taliban should become part of the government. It was the main idea at that point, at that time. But Ghani was thinking that how he should remain in the power. He was thinking for himself. So, as I mentioned, no one was accepting that. And so he was not understanding that situation, that he made the changes. He weakened opposition groups, and he retired and fired most of the army members and security forces top leaderships, and police and intelligence service and army leadership, and also he removed most of the members of the political groups from the government, and he recruited a very young and inexperienced team. Even those who they didn't know anything about Afghanistan, they were coming from the outside the country.
So it
Uh,
seems Ghani has no any a good backbone from any political party or any religious group or any tribal group. He doesn't have any a
y-
good backbone that he has very difficult to strong to make strong government, right? So it seems
yes,
he doesn't have
it was
any backbone from Afghan society, right?
yes, yes. It was one reason that because he was imposed on the government, you know. Another thing was his character, his personality. That he was not a normal person. You know, like any leaders. I'm not saying about a very intelligent leader, a very experienced leader. Just a normal leader to understand the situation and lead the. He was actually a good uh, project manager. He was a good, you know, managing the small things, uh,
But not
mi-
political leader.
micromanagement. But he was not, like a political leader to, lead a country in that crisis situation and convince the leaders, talk to the leaders, to the elders, to the ethnic groups, to the religious group, to the different civil society, media. He was always angry, and with all, with the media, with the civil society, with political leaders, with ethnic groups. He was creating clash. He was creating, a kind of, ethnic agenda, ethnic division inside the country, and tribal division inside the country, uh, using what one ethnic against other ethnic, using one tribal against other tribal. There was the main agenda was the uh, division, between the ethnic groups and also with the neighboring countries. He created lots of problems for the country. He uh, provoke the neighboring countries on water issues, on border issues. He doesn't have a power, just relying on the foreign forces. But he was, telling uh, big things and making decision that was not in his power. He could not implement that. Just, slogans that he was saying, raising
And
that.
Ghani was
So
not properly consolidated power, you know.
yes,
Just
yes.
just a kind of uh, a kind of you know image in the government, but he did not consolidate that within African society or any tribal group or any religious leader. So it means he did not yet proper consolidated power.
Yes, he was working
Symbol of president, but
right.
not real power. So that is, I think, his problem. So, but Afghan soldier mainly he can control all these Afghan soldier at the time, 30,000 soldiers.
Uh,
It's not
Actually,
really.
for the first 5 years, his national security advisor, Mr. Atmar, was leading the security forces for him. And but later in the second round, he shift him to recruit him as a foreign minister and brought the Mohit to the national security advice as national security advisor. That he was a very young and inexperienced person. He didn't know anything about the Afghan society. So his team also created lots of problem for him. Yeah.
So what about relationship between army and Ghani? A lot of army general or major captain, he trusted them or they trusted him, or how's the relationship?
No, never,
Oh,
never.
it's not good.
They were not trusting each other. There was not a trust between the president and the security forces. The security forces was not feeling, secure and safe during his leadership. And there was a conflict and tension between them, but because they were not agree with his recruitment, with his, replacing the people, retiring, firing. It, the second round was all just he was busy with these things. The Taliban was taking the control of district, cities, and villages, and he was busy for two things. One, how to fire, replace and retire the generals, the commanders, and the leadership of security forces, and also to create a clash and tension with the political parties, with the ethnic groups, with the religious group, with the tribal areas groups. So there was and also creating a tension with the neighboring countries, where tension with the member of government, his government, with the political parties and ethnic groups, with neighboring countries. So how you can rule the country, when you're fighting with everyone and the opposition group, or even with the international community. When he came to the power, most of the Afghan people, the Afghanistan people, were thinking that he is educated person, and he's coming from the US. He was living here, and he knew the language, the international community, the language of the US uh, administration. He can communicate much better than Karzai, and he can build a good relationship with the international community and our allies. But even with them, he failed to communicate with them and coordinate with them and get their support. So he daily, day by day, he lost the support of the international community and our allies, and he lost the support of the people and political parties and ethnic groups,
So,
and he lost, and the Taliban was gaining the battle.
so among army soldier, among general or major, he doesn't have trusted any 1 or 5%, or he doesn't have even small number, very trusted people.
He was trusting to his national security advisor
Only 1%?
and a
Other
very tiny group of that circled him.
loyalty. There is no loyalty in
But
army.
he was not handovering, the responsibilities to others. He was very centralized. The power was very centralized. Like the president in Afghanistan constitution is like a king. He has too much power. The power is centralized, and everything is in his hand. The two vice president
What
doesn't
about
have any
U.S.
power.
U.S. Army or U.S. American? They any direction to Ghani to do that in domestic issue? They did.
Uh, Ghani Ghani disappointed the U.S. and the international community because of that. He was very selfish, very egoistic, and he was not listening to anyone, and he was saying, I am the president, I am the chief and commander, of the security forces, and I make the decision. But he was not considering that this US is supporting him, and without their support, he cannot continue one day. And people are supporting him. Those political parties, if they get back their support, he cannot continue. He was thinking that I can put pressure on the neighboring countries, while he doesn't have that power.